You sound like my friend Nicole. She was my girlfriend.
So, y'all still together, or?
Didn't work out.
White folks love this crack cocaine, baby.
I'll get at you later.
All right.
You're just like a...
Thanks again.
Aisha, it's my cousin.
And
Aisha.
that you what?
Nah. She a nice girl, though.
What's up?
I'm chilling. How about you? Oh, you making fun of me?
I'm making fun of you.
But maybe give it one more shot to make shit right between y'all.
Hell no. Mouty.
Kanan's changing a lot. He also kicking it with some old heads.
Fucking bitch running your mouth.
Welcome back, Top Notch Gang, and in this video we're going through the full backstory, the full downfall and breakdown of Jukebox's and Kanan's story, from cousins, best friends, from brother and sister to straight cold enemies, all the way up to Kanan officially taking her out in the original Power. And I think we finally have enough clues and details to piece all this together from this season 3 of Raising Kanan. So to do that, we're going to start from the very beginning. We got to talk about the whole situation with Nicole, her relationship with Jukebox, how Kanan got involved leading to her death. We also got to dive into the new girl Aisha, because I think she's going to play a big important part and factor with her being in a relationship with Kanan, with me thinking Jukebox might catch feelings for her, and also with her being in Jukebox's new girl group but being with Kanan while he's in the game doing dangerous shit. And also one of the biggest factors that I think people are missing, Jukebox going to Rock and telling her Kanan's business, everything he's gonna be doing from here on out. Jukebox is gonna be her little spy, her inside man, and Kanan is not gonna take too lightly to this, as we see he's already doing with Famous. And the biggest story that Courtney Kemp revealed way back in 2016, before Raising Kanan was even a thought, about the scar that Kanan is gonna get on his neck from a fight with Jukebox, and when, where, why, and how all of this is gonna take place, and how all this ultimately connects and makes Jukebox leave for the army, as we saw her sign up for earlier in the season, and how she became a cop in the original Power. So we want to see how their relationship went from this to this. So I highly suggest you watch this whole entire video, because a lot of people have questions of how Jukebox went from this cute sweet girl to this hateful, revengeful threat of a person that we saw in the original Power. And I think a lot of this connecting that I'm about to do is going to start to make sense, and people is going to see the vision. So we're going to go ahead and dive into all that, the clues, the details that they've laid out right in front of us. As usual, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and let's jump right into it. Now, we all know Jukebox has battled the most hardships or took the most losses so far in Raising Kanan, and we're going to come back around to that. But I point that out because the first of many losses was, of course, Nicole, her first love, her first girlfriend, and her dying to the crack that Kanan put out. So what happened was Kanan, of course, was trying to get into the game, and he made a go-ahead move without Marvin's approval to move this different type of crack product and give out these samples. He unfortunately gave one of these samples to Jukebox, and Nicole went ahead and took it out Jukebox's bag. So the night Nicole and Juke were supposed to go to prom together, or go to this ball, go to this dance, Nicole of course did the crack and unfortunately died. Now, of course, if you guys remember, Jukebox forgave Kanan for this situation, said it wasn't his fault, she couldn't even blame herself. She chalked all this up to them being from Queens, from the area they're from. They're just a product of their environment.
It's not your fault, Kanan. It's this place, Kanan. It's a fucked up life we live in here.
And we're going to see that continue to play out as the story goes on. But I do think at some point her way of thinking about that will change as Kanan starts to push into his own business, his own way of doing things. And she starts to realize this is just choices he is deciding to make within himself. To get into the hardships she suffered following this, she had the big fight with Marvin, that they came to blows. She left the house and started living with Rock. This unfortunately led into her rekindling her relationship with her mother, the whole church situation situation, them trying to convert her, saying she's sinning. That went south pretty fast. Then her mother, of course, getting killed at the end of season 2, going to Rock's house trying to talk to her. And now with the death of Burke at the beginning of season 3, which a lot of people say she didn't care about Burke, but Burke did look out for her, made sure she got out of jail safe. So much so that Jukebox even warned her about Howard ahead of time. But unfortunately, Burke was the last straw. She went to her funeral. She saw Howard there. We're gonna get back to that later. And this is when she ultimately decided to go and sign up for the army. Now, we of course know in general, all Juke wanted ever to do was sing. That's what she loved the most. And we saw her this season when the counselor was asking her about jobs, what does she like to do? And she mentioned she loves to sing.
I sing.
When she got the audition for this girl group, she had already been assigned up for the army, and we seen glimpses and scenes here or there where she's still going to the doctor to get physical. She's still looking into the army pamphlets and everything like that. But this girl group is her last chance and her last straw to do what she want to do and not have to make an impulsive decision like joining the army. And of course, we know this is gonna go south pretty fast, and I think Kanan is gonna be a major reason why. Now, we know, of course, the Jukebox in the original Power didn't get to live out her dream, never got to fulfill it, and we saw her explain this to Tariq in the original Power. He asked why was her name Jukebox.
How'd you get your nickname, Jukebox?
When I was a kid, I knew all the songs on the radio. I could imitate anybody. I was better than good. I was great.
So I think 2 major storylines is gonna come from the Aisha, the girl group, and the whole Kanan situation. One, a love triangle between the 3 of them. I'm about to explain that first. I think this love triangle is gonna form as the season grows. As we saw in the last episode, Jukebox decided to put in extra hours and work to help Aisha stay in the group, learn to dance, everything like that. They started opening up to each other. She even told her about Nicole, and she even went and invited her to Lou's new club. We saw them, of course, hug outside the practice studio, and even Marvin picked up on it and asked Jukebox, was she talking to her, was she dating her, what was going on with that situation. And then we fast forward to them going to Lou's open mic and Kanan popping up, and we saw Kanan pull Juke to the side and ask Jukebox once again, was Aisha her? Was she on it? Was that her girl? And she was like, nah, they just friends, but she's a nice girl. And she told Kanan, go ahead and go for it. And Kanan was like, I'm on it. Now, we saw after this, Jukebox kind of had a little sad look on her face. He did give her the opportunity to let him know. Nevertheless, it did happen, and with the foreign romances between Aisha and Jukebox, I think Aisha will end up messing with both of them, and that caused a strain in their relationship themselves with them going after the same girl. It's kind of like how in the original Power, Jukebox let Kanan fuck her girlfriend at the time so he could get his hand back right, so he could fix himself, everything like that. So I think this will be a first scenario where they're both after the same girl or have dealings with the same girl that's more than just friends or anything like that. I think this is where that stems from. Now, of course, the second major problem that I think or storyline that's gonna build off of this, Aisha getting in harm's way due to Kanan being in the game. And I think her possible death or her possibly becoming a snitch, not being a part of this life, she seemed like a good, sweet girl. Kanan is gonna put her in harm's way, and she might have to get eliminated. That ultimately ends the girl group and ultimately ends Jukebox's chance of getting out this life through her passion, through her goal of singing. And this is where I think the fight comes in. This is where I think she gives him the scar. Now, of course, Sasha Penn is now the showrunner, the writer. He's doing everything, so he might not stick to what Courtney Kemp said, but I do think they'll give Kanan his scar one way or another, and this could be a perfect way to set it up with this Aisha girl. So I think this is where it all takes place, and they get into this big, huge fight with one another, kind of like how Marvin and Juke had in season 1. And I think this was inevitably breaks apart their relationship once and for all, causes her to fully go into the army. Now that she's already signed up, she'll really have no choice, no opportunity, and I think this what leads her into that path. Because think about it like this, I mentioned earlier how she forgave him for the death of Nicole, blamed it on their environment, everything that's going on, but this time he only might not be killing someone she loves. If the love triangle does come true, it might not, but even if it doesn't, he wouldn't just be be killing one of her friends, but someone in her girl group, therefore destroying Jukebox's dream. And I think that would be the last straw for her, especially because we saw in episode 1, Rock got them all together and told Kanan she was gonna leave the game, she was gonna stop, and he still was like, no, I'm out. He told Jukebox he's not giving her another chance. She's never gonna leave the game alone.
She need the game. She is the fucking game.
And now he's himself fully diving into the game away from everything else. This is his own choices and he's doing it himself. He can't blame no one but himself. She can't blame no one else. She can't blame herself. She can't blame where they stay. This is decisions he's choosing to make. And she's gonna see that more and more and more, which leads us into the other side of things of her telling Rock all Kanan's business from here on out, becoming like a source of information we're about to get into right now, because in episode 6, Kanan's gonna meet Snaps for the first time and he's gonna bring Jukebox along with him, and this is where it all starts.
Kanan's changing a lot. He also kicking it with some old heads.
Another point of conflict where I made a whole video on is Jukebox's first kill theory. I made a whole video about her path to being a cop and how her first kill will be Detective Howard. And now to me this makes a lot of sense. This more so could be for revenge for Burke, because I mentioned earlier in this video as well that Jukebox warned Burke that Howard was coming after her.
Young people coming for you. Watch your back, detective.
And Burke still died. We saw Jukebox of course go to the funeral, and I think this creates a great parallel to where her first kill is a dirty cop, and we're introduced to her right away in the original Power of her being a dirty cop. I think this kill will have great impact on Kanan, of course, with that being his dad, and then the circumstance of how they could set it up if Howard was to take out Marvin, or if Howard was to be caught being a dirty cop. So he starts giving information on Rock or Marvin or anyone else, and she has to do this. It sets up her story so well, and her doing this is her final step into, okay, I gotta get out of here, I saved my family, let me go to the army. And that's why we see in the original Power she changes her name from Thomas to Ganner.
Officer Laverne Ganner shot and killed the suspect after he gunned down the night clerk.
And this also will make some level of sense, because we know in the original Power, Kanan was initially pissed about Jukebox becoming a cop. I remember when Jukebox's girlfriend was talking about how Juke must look up to him, she never let anyone stay there, and he said if she looked up to me, she would have never became a cop.
She don't look up to me. If she looked up to me, she wouldn't be no damn cop.
And also later, he told her she not black no more, she blue.
You ain't black no more. You blue.
Which is why I can help.
So he was already pissed about her becoming a cop. The thing that I find interesting is Ghost and Tommy of course knew who Jukebox was.
And remember Jukebox? Yeah, that fucking crazy bitch. That one.
Because they already said they knew who she was, and even in the original Power, and she talked about Ghost, how he always had his head in a book, but he was good with a piece. You couldn't mess with him, couldn't play with him.
Not Ghost. Ghost. Man, Ghost. He was your boy, that kid. Always with his head in the motherfucking book. Vicious with a piece, though.
So they all were very familiar with each other's work. So I expect her to be around a little longer once she finally gets her hands dirty, well before she goes off to the army or she goes off to the police academy or anything like that. And I'm expecting that to come more so after Marvin's death. And I think all this creates the disconnect when it starts to take place, and it's all gonna add up with, once again, like I said, Jukebox revealing information to Rock, the debts that's gonna pile up, him of course ending her dreams. All of this is just gonna start to pile on and on and on until the relationship eventually splits apart. Now we get a few pieces of information about that backstory in the original Power, so we can see how it compared to what we actually saw. For example, in one scene, Kanan was like she owes him one because he was there for her when Marvin kicked her out for her being the way she was.
I was there for her when her daddy kicked her out for the way she is.
Which of course happened. She went and lived with Rock, but of course Marvin did take her back in. They didn't say that in the original Power, but he did come to understand it and accept her for who she was. But Kanan was there for her throughout a lot of her life and everything that went on with her. There was also a scene where she asked him, how can you lie to me of all people?
I can't believe you actually lying. To me, of all people.
And I think that's a very important line in the original Power, because once again, like I said, they were probably the two closest people we see so far in Raising Kanan. At this time, they tell each other almost everything, and that's coming to an end. But he is gonna bring her to see snaps. So at some point, all communication is gonna break off between them, and that's why there's a lack of trust already in the original Power. And the last thing they mentioned, of course, she says he was the first person to know that she liked girls, and he also says that he called her when he dropped his first body.
What was the call you made when you dropped your first body?
Now, of course, he didn't with the D-Wiz situation, because that's not really a confirmed kill for Kanan. And of course, he did go to her when he first shot Officer Howard. He was tripping out and everything like that, trying to play it cool, but she saw him for who he really was. But other than that, I don't think Kanan has a confirmed kill just yet. Now, if you count Buck 20, that's fair. That's just one of the many changes they made between the original Power and this one, and it's possibly gonna be a lot more. A lot of people say it don't line up one-to-one, but that's just obviously because Raising Kanan wasn't a thought at the time Power was airing. I want to see how much they keep the same, how much they change, so that's why I added this section to the video. That's it for this video. I would really appreciate if you guys leave a like, comment, subscribe, because this is probably the most theory crafting, the most research, pictures, gathering footage I did in a pretty long time, and I think I came up with a pretty good theory and ideas of how everything takes place. I'm interested to hear all you guys' thoughts and opinions, because this is just what I came up with, but you guys could come up with obviously even better things. But this is probably one of the most interesting stories to ever be told, and definitely within Raising Kanan, to see the dynamic between Kanan and Jukebox suddenly shift. That's what we're all waiting on. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Once again, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.